All right, what is going on, guys? So in this video, we're going to be interviewing Christian. He's a member of the Freedom Team. Been having some pretty good results so far. So we're going to go ahead and interview Christian. So Christian, thank you so much for coming on. We can kind of start off a little bit on your background. So why don't you first kind of explain what got you into trading in the first place, how long ago that was, and your experience with it when you first started.
Sure. So thank you, Jordan. So I started trading um, right after the pandemic. So I'm sure a lot of other retail traders jumped in around that time. I jumped in there. So I've been active. I haven't really stopped since then, but I wasn't seeing any results. I was just pretty much going through it, just buying calls off of whatever calls out they put on Twitter or whatnot. And I was making money on that, but what happens when you get to that kind of point is, you get too overconfident and you start to, you know, do stupid things and whatnot, make those kind of mistakes. And then I got tired of just, winging it like that and not really having a structure. And then that's when I started following you on Twitter and kind of, looking for the right guidance. And then of course your mentorship came along, and then it's been great so far.
Awesome. Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit kind of where you first started strategy wise? Like what you were, were you doing a lot of scalping, more swing trading? How was that going for you? And kind of maybe a little bit into how that's changed joining the Freedom Team and kind of what your strategy is looking like a little bit now.
So before, I didn't have really a set strategy. Like I had a couple rules and a couple what I thought were strategies, but they weren't really complete. So for example, I was doing supply demand, which I still am now, but I wasn't doing with the same technique and the same structure that I do now. So before I was just, looking for, support resistance and just like solely buying off if a price hit. I wouldn't really wait for any confluence, any confirmations or any of the things that you go over and your supply demand course. And then right now I feel like I'm more structured in a way. I'm more focused. I'm more confident because I'm going into the day knowing what I should be doing and what I should be looking at. Whereas before I was just kind of winging it in a way.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think everyone starts out you're winging it in a way they don't really know what they're doing. They're taking like, bull flags and support resistance, like you said, but a lot of
Hmm.
that never really works unless you have an actual strategy around it. And it seems like now you're doing a much better job where you have like a strategy that you actually understand and works, right? So cool. And aside from the strategy part, more so about the emotions, because psychology is a huge part when it comes to trading.
Yes.
How were your emotions kind of in the beginning when you were trading? Did you blow up any accounts? Did you have bad risk management, or were you still like doing okay with your emotions?
No, so I was very terrible, just terrible risk manager. I did not manage risk at all. I was just literally YOLOing it, really, to be honest with you. I was being reckless with my money. And I blew up. I've blown up several accounts, tens of thousands of dollars. And at one point in time, it wasn't money I could afford to lose either. So, it hits harder. Um, Motion wise, I was kind of a wreck. I would get in the same rhythm of the market in a way. So if it was going up, I was up with it. I was all, excited and whatnot. And then when I would lose, then I'd be, stressed out, kind of like just slumping, just feeling down. As opposed to now, I'm more centered. I'm more focused. I'm more confident because I know what I have to do, and it's on paper. I can follow it. So if I ever get distracted or if I ever start even feeling some type of emotion, I'll go back to that, and I have trust in that. So that really helps, and I think that's really been the biggest thing for me. Really has been just the emotional aspect, the behavior you bring into it day in day out. That's really been it for me. That's helped me see the most change in results.
Yeah, and I know through our one-on-one calls that you have been very, very patient, very, very disciplined with your strategy, which a lot of people struggle with. I know I struggled with it a lot, and still to this day, like sometimes I still struggle with it. But you've been very, very good at, sticking to your plan, sticking to your strategy, not forcing any setups. So is there anything, in the past few weeks that you've learned from the Freedom Team, or maybe just by being in the community itself, that's kind of helped you really dial in on those emotions?
Yeah, honestly, like seeing a community of people that go through the same thing, and they're just open about it, and they all jump in on it, and help each other out. That kind of made me realize, okay, well, I'm not the only one, and there's ways to improve that. There's ways to change. There's ways to do things in a better way for you. And that's really been a really big takeaway. I mean, to me, honestly, all the little details and all the small things that you don't really see because people overlook them is what's really changed me the most. And I feel like I wouldn't really see that unless I was in a tighter community of people that have a like-minded vision and have a goal that they're working towards that's the same with the same kind of setbacks.
Totally. Yeah, and that's awesome. I love that. And kind of going back a little bit to the strategy aspect, because I know you said you trade supply demand. I know we've been talking about that as well. Can you talk a little bit more about like maybe some of the things that you've added to your strategy, or like maybe some things that you didn't realize were really like a part of a strategy, or what a strategy was until, kind of coming into the Freedom Team and realizing, maybe how that's impacted what your strategy actually is?
Yeah, so now so like I said, it's supply demand, which is the strategy that you as well teach on the course. Um, but now I feel like it's more refined because I know like exact things to look for, like certain candles, certain patterns, certain levels, like also implementing the balance theory into it. Um, I like using those in Confluence. So if I see that there's a demand zone and it's also in a balance zone, that really helps me be more confident in the setup. And then apart from that, just the risk management aspect of it, because my strategy really was lacking that. It was mostly focused on the execution, but there was no real plan as to where am I gonna enter, where am I gonna exit? As in now, like I see, like I know where my zones are. I know where I should enter, where I shouldn't trade at all, and when I should exit. And just following those parameters has really helped me to focus and remain calm. Because when I didn't have those, I would just be looking at the chart, trying to force and see supply and demand. But it doesn't work like that. You have to let it come to you. Once you see it that it's formed, then okay, then you start to look at your setups there and whatnot. So that's really been very helpful.
Yeah, and with supply demand specifically, I always talk a lot about how, you shouldn't be buying every demand zone or shorting every supply zone. You need to have
Mm-hmm.
a more refined strategy. And, over the calls that we've had, you've definitely refined that a lot, which I love, and it's been very helpful. One of the things I've noticed as well is that the confidence that you've gotten, strictly from having a strategy that works. And like I think it was last call we had, you're talking about you've been seeing a lot more base hits, a lot more consistent wins. And
Yeah.
seeing that really helps you get to that level of confidence where you can, pull the trigger on your A+ setups. Because I know, especially for me, like, and same thing with you, like losing, over 5 figures from, this journey of trading, you can really lose that confidence very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe you can talk a little bit about how you're able to gain that confidence back. Was it just through the strategy? Was it just through those base hits? Or was there anything else involved?
Honestly, yeah, the strategy, the base hits, but the main thing really was trusting myself to do what I had to do when I had to do it. So, like for example, before I might have put a stop loss, um, and many people put them on the chart, but do they really get out of the position, when it hits, or do they wait, or do they move it? Kind of just like, how do you say? I really like took it really serious upon myself to make sure that I did what I had to do, because if not, it just wasn't gonna work out. So I just said, all right, I know it doesn't feel natural because it's not what you've been doing, but just give it a shot. Resist the urge to just buy and sell, like at the first week you see, whatever. Um, and that's kind of given me more trust too, to let things kind of happen in a way, plan themselves out, and then you already know what you're gonna do once those levels hit, and that's helped me gain more confidence. Because before I was not confident because I didn't know where I was gonna enter, where I was gonna exit, so I was just kind of anxious to just do something. Whereas now, like, I know that what I have to really be doing is just waiting for that right setup and waiting for that right risk reward trade. And when the time comes to, to take the trade and let it play out, and then, having confidence in the strategy and in the system. And yeah, at first, like I mentioned, it's a little bit hard just because it's not what you're used to, but slowly, like, if you make that your goal to just do that, then it'll get better, and your confidence will increase.
Yeah, 100%. You said that like perfectly. And with the mentorship in general, there's a lot of aspects that, are involved in the Freedom Team, right? We have the course, we have the one-on-one, the community. There's a lot of stuff involved. So would you say there's anything specific, maybe a specific moment you learned, or maybe a specific video in the course, something that really like kind of flipped the switch for you to really, help you get to that consistency in your trading?
Honestly, the supply demand course you did was very good, and that's even online for free. So I mean, if you haven't watched it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. But there was this one video where, in that course, that you were mentioning about what you said before about not buying or selling into every single supply demand, and kind of waiting for that break of structure, waiting for those retracements, like little details like that, that it kind of clicked on me. I was like, oh, you know what, this makes sense, because if this happens, then this is most likely to happen afterwards. So that's really helped. But honestly, what's really helped me the most is just like the one-on-ones, because that's, it's not every day you have access to somebody as knowledgeable as you and as experienced as you, and something that it's really not clear out there if you start to look for information on how to trade, for at whatever level of trading that you are. It's very, everybody's got different ways of doing it. I mean, there's really no right or wrong, right? Whatever works for you works for you. But I also feel like the fact that we have a similar strategy, and that you have a lot of experience and knowledge of things that I'm going through right now, has really helped me kind of open my eyes and see, okay, well, if he did it, then I can do it. And your advice has also been very, very valuable to me.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I obviously try my best to give you the best information out there. Um, and yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'll leave it with this last question here. There's going to be people watching this who are, they want to join, but maybe they have some doubts or a little bit concerned. Is there anything that you would want to tell them or tell somebody who's thinking about joining the Freedom Team?
Honestly, if you're gonna join, if you're thinking about joining, and you're serious about trading, and you're serious about really challenging yourself, and really taking a leap that will potentially change your life forever, like, just do it. It's worth it. I mean, it's an investment that you can't go wrong doing. I was a little hesitant at first just because the money, but then I'm thinking, well, honestly, I've lost a lot more, and where else am I gonna find anything like this? And it's just an opportunity that you have to take. So honestly, if you're thinking about it and you have the means, go for it. You're not gonna regret it. And if you're somebody who's serious about this and about elevating yourself as a person, and just all around, financially, mentally, this is for you.
Awesome. That's yeah, that's the same exact message I like to put out there. So, well, thank you so much, Christian. I appreciate the time. I know you've been crushing it in the Freedom Team. So, yeah, we'll stay in touch in the Slack. I know we will have a one-on-one coming up pretty soon. So, I'm excited for that. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you inside the Slack.
Yeah, you got it, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Keep it up, man. You're doing a really good job. Thank you.
Bro.